Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 50th Annual College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences Alumni Awards celebration hosted by the CFAES Alumni Society Board. I'm Yolanda Owens, and I proudly serve as the president of the CFAES Alumni Society Board of Directors. This year has met us with once-in-a-lifetime challenges. The word unprecedented has been stamped into our lexicon as word of the year, being uttered more times than we care to mention. While this year has been difficult, having learned critical thinking skills, resourcefulness, sustainability, and my impact on those around me during my time at CFAES has helped to sustain me. These are also the traits that make selecting recipients a daunting task each year, as we are charged with selecting shining examples of those that are working in the field that exemplify who we are as a college. Thank you so much to the recognition committee members for wading through such tough contenders each and every year. Assessing the current landscape of our country and world, it is evident that through the work that we do, we sustain life. With awardees spanning from biological engineering and soil science, to agribusiness and policymakers, to animal sciences, entomology, and plant pathology, the work that this year's recipients are engaged in speaks volumes to how this college impacts the world. We are excited to honor this year's recipients and thank them for their service to our community, country, and world. While this year's event is virtual, we hope that this offers the opportunity for more alumni, both college and university, to attend and see the amazing and innovative work that is coming from the College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences. As Alumni Society Board President, I am personally both excited and humbled to be able to represent such an illustrious group of alumni. Tonight, we will recognize 12 alumni and friends of the college who have distinguished themselves through outstanding accomplishments in their career and service to our community, college, and the university. Before we recognize this year's award recipients, I'd like to invite Molly Rance Calhoun, President and CEO of the Ohio State University Alumni Association, to share some thoughts with our honorees and CFAES community.
Thanks, Yolanda, and good evening, everyone. It is a pleasure to be part of this celebration of our 2021 College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences Alumni Award winners. On behalf of the Ohio State University Alumni Association and Dean Kathann Kress, who was unable to join us this evening, I'd like to thank Yolanda for leading our CFES Alumni Society and thank all of the Alumni Society board members for their help in planning tonight's program. And congratulations to our outstanding award recipients. We are inspired by you and your many accomplishments, from ensuring human, animal, and environmental health to encouraging our future thought leaders and scientists. Our Alumni Society board volunteers engage in a variety of activities to keep our alumni connected to the college and our entire university community. I am grateful for the spirit and commitment of our alumni volunteer leaders as you plan fun events like this one, join in service activities, and offer career advice to our current students. The Alumni Society Board also takes on reviewing all of the applications and selects each year's award recipients. No easy task considering the caliber of our accomplished Buckeye applicants. We truly appreciate your outreach and engagement in Ohio, around the country, and the world, strengthening your CFES roots and connections to our whole Ohio State family. Our honorees tonight truly uphold the college's mission to sustain life in all that they do, as well as our Alumni Association vision of inspiring and cultivating engaged citizens. You are encouraging discovery and finding solutions to complex problems we face every day. Once again, congratulations to our Alumni Award winners, both past and present. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce Callie Orr, a member of our CFES Alumni Society Board, who will begin introducing tonight's honorees. Thank you and congratulations.
Thanks, Molly, and good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you all. We have a great event planned to celebrate our 2021 CFAES Alumni Award winners. Throughout the evening, we will hear from CFAES Alumni Award winners and how they live out our college's mission, We Sustain Life, through their careers and activities beyond their time as a CFAES student. We will recognize Alumni Award recipients in 4 categories: the Young Professional Achievement Award, the International Alumni Award, the Distinguished Alumni Award, and the Meritorious Service Award. Let's begin with the Young Professional Achievement Award. This award recognizes outstanding young professionals in their respective fields. Nominees for this award must be under 35 years of age when selected. Nominees should demonstrate one or more of the following criteria: achievement indicating outstanding progress and a promising future in their professional career, support of a chosen profession, department, school, or institute of graduation, and involvement and leadership in community activities. Our 2 honorees in this category truly embody these characteristics. Our first honoree in this category is Dr. Cindy Barrera. Using waste from agricultural fields to make rubber products might sound unusual, but that has led to an accomplished career in biological engineering for Dr. Cindy Barrera. A driven young scientist, Dr. Barrera has become a pioneer in the development of bio-based elastomers and other biomaterials. Her innovative thinking has led to extraordinary research contributing to the field of elastomer science and the rubber industry, particularly in the area of bio-based sustainable materials. As a student, she developed and modeled rubber compounds in which the carbon footprint was lowered. Using hundreds of thousands of tons of material that are traditionally wasted will reduce the harmful environmental and economic impacts of disposal. At Ford, Dr. Barrera has played a major role in the evaluation and implementation of new elastomer products made with low-cost, renewable, recycled materials. Aside from her extensive professional accomplishments, Dr. Barrera is always willing to mentor and encourage future scientists and use her interdisciplinary skills to help people. Dr. Barrera, how did Ohio State and CFAES prepare you for your career as a researcher?
OSU and CFAES prepared me for my research career in multiple ways. The most important one, I think, is by showing me how cross-functional teams are key for the success of a common goal. And that was particularly important for my lab. The other way that I can think of is also showing me how competitive the work is. And this was evident through many research events throughout the college and also competitions among the students. And finally, I can say just through different role models that we have and just show me how excellence can be achieved through hard work.
Congratulations, Dr. Barrera.
Even as an undergraduate, Ken Davis had a flair for leading. Early on, he got involved in the Ohio State chapter of Manners, taking on a leadership role in the organization that welcomes people of all racial and ethnic groups in agricultural and related science careers. Working well with the team of officers, Ken generated new ideas and initiatives within the organization. During his 12-year career, he has been a founding member of 3 seed companies, including GrowPro Genetics, a company in Bourbonnais, Illinois, which he co-owns and now serves as a commercial director. Active in his local Kankakee County Farm Bureau, Ken has been involved in growing leadership, providing educational opportunities, working with area youth, carrying out community service projects, and holding network events. Ken's professional ability to grow networks is a true asset in his local work. He eagerly volunteers for various community outreach events to allow the non-farming public an opportunity to meet agricultural professionals and learn how technology is used in modern farming. Ken is also involved with the American Seed Association Planning Committee and is an Illinois Wheat Association sponsor. Ken, how did your experience in the CFAES Manners chapter impact your future?
Looking back, Manners, student organization at the College of Ag, more than anything, that experience gave me confidence moving into my future profession. Standing in front of farmers and business leaders can be intimidating, but thanks to Manners and the visibility it gave me to the industry and experience, I had a ton of confidence leaving Ohio State. So thank you, Manners, for that.
Congratulations on your Professional Achievement Award, Ken.
The International Alumni Award category recognizes international graduates of the college who stand out in their home country, regionally, and around the world. Additionally, these recipients have brought honorable recognition to themselves and The Ohio State University. What started out as a pursuit for a doctorate degree grew into a love of teaching. Today, as a faculty member at the Federal University of Bahia, Brazil, Dr. Ribeiro teaches undergraduate courses on biochemistry, graduate courses on ruminant nutrition and biochemistry, and as a member of the Food Science graduate program, courses on chromatography. Dr. Ribeiro taught my very first lecture in college, a nominator wrote, and to this day, I remember how his enthusiasm for the topic really showed through in each of his classes. He has the unique capability to make hard and confusing topics as clear as water. Dr. Ribeiro's work at the Federal University of Bahia also includes coordinating the chromatography analysis laboratory in the College of Veterinary Medicine and Animal Sciences, while his research focuses on ruminant nutrition, including recently studying bioactive molecules in donkey milk. He has also worked with farmers to help them improve the use of their land, focusing on feeding sheep and goats in semi-arid regions, has trained undergraduate students to teach farmers about feeding dairy goats in northeast Brazil, and is co-founder of a startup developing a method to bioconvert organic waste into insect protein enriched with bioactive lipids. Dr. Ribeiro, how did you discover your love of teaching?
I discovered my love for teaching when I was an undergraduate student. I used to teach to some of my classmates before the exams. I knew then that I wanted to be a teacher. This award brings back good memories. I'm pleased and honored.
Congratulations, Dr. Ribeiro, on being a recipient of the International Alumni Award.
Yori Lopez-Zinn's academic passion and professional interests both come down to one thing: soil. In 1998, Dr. Zinn came to CFAES, where he worked under the guidance of Dr. Ratan Lal, founder and director of CFAES Carbon Management and Sequestration Center. As an active member of CMASC from 2001 to 2005, Dr. Zinn studied soil organic carbon in the savanna soils of Brazil. His research led to 5 scientific papers, hundreds of citations of those papers, and most significantly, a new perspective. Dr. Zinn now serves as Associate Professor in the Department of Soil Science at the Federal University of Lavras in Minas Gerais, Brazil. Yet he also continues to support CMASC's mission by facilitating the exchange of graduate students, by sending students from Brazil to the center, and by hosting Ohio State students in Brazil. He actively participates in community outreach through extension projects in Lavras, Brazil, has consulted with the United Nations Global Compact Program on Sustainable Soil Management, and has participated in events such as the 42nd annual meeting of the Committee on World Food Security and the 21st World Congress of Soil Science. Dr. Zinn, how did your time in CFAES impact your career?
Well, it is hard to me to overstate the importance of my time in the College of Food, Agriculture, and Environmental Sciences to my professional career. Because I was able to, study under the world famous faculty in soil science. That included not only my advisor, Dr. Ratan Lal, which is probably the most famous soil scientist in the world, but also many other people which were not only leading in their fields, but also involved in the scientific societies and scientific publishing at that time. I can remember Doctors Jerry Began, Warren Deacon, Lewis Mack, and so many others. And when I finished my PhD, not only I had a great dissertation that resulted in many scientific papers, but I also was involved in reviewing for scientific journals. This activity only grew in the following years, and then all that gave me a great perspective, not only for doing my own scientific research, but also and especially on preparing and editing scientific papers and texts in English, which here in Brazil is a very appreciated skill. So I'm very thankful for that.
Congratulations, Dr. Zinn.
Our next award category, the Distinguished Alumni Award, has 6 recipients and is presented to individuals who have brought distinction to themselves, the college, and the Ohio State University through participation in their profession and by demonstrating their commitment and leadership. Past and present Distinguished Alumni recipients represent a broad base of career vocations, including business, education, government, production agriculture, environment, and community service. Who knew that administering synthetic estrogen to boars in his undergraduate years would lead to a lifetime of work and research in human neonatal care and nutrition? His early years of studying boars led to exploring intravenous proteins and lipids as the first form of nutrition, and from there he made the switch to human medicine, specifically premature and ill-term babies' nutritional management. By 1994, he was named the Rounsville Endowed Professor and Director of the Division of Neonatal Medicine at the University of Louisville, a position he has held for 27 years. He was instrumental in the regionalization of neonatal care for Kentucky and Indiana. He also worked to develop the service line for extracorporeal life support, ECLS. ECLS is a method of heart-lung bypass. As a scientist, Dr. Adamkin concentrates on neonatal nutrition and growth, where he is an international expert in infant nutrition. He has done much of his international work in Poland. In recent years, he has worked with CFAES on a project in collaboration with Abbott Labs to teach milk technicians about the importance of human milk and preparation for preterm babies and promoting safety in their milk prep rooms and hospitals. David, what do you consider to be your greatest professional achievement?
Professional achievement and family are not separable for me, and I'm going to talk a little bit about both. Professionally, I've had a wonderful career in neonatology, especially neonatal nutrition. A lot of my work has been aimed at trying to make premature babies grow better and improve their outcomes. That work's included the development of preterm infant formula, especially made for these tiny babies, and human milk fortification. And that sometimes has involved work with Abbott Laboratories research and brought me to Columbus, especially when there's a weekday night and a basketball game. They taught me at OSU to share your ideas and research and to be inquisitive. I've taken that seriously. I've published over 120 peer-reviewed publications, 40 book chapters, 20 webinars, including the one we just did with Ohio State for the human milk technicians, and written 5 books, including 2 in Polish. I get to teach around the USA and also internationally. I was also honored to serve on the American Academy of Pediatrics Fetus and Newborn Committee, including membership from the CDC and the NIH, which writes policies and guides management for practitioners around the United States and also used globally. It's literally used every day to screen babies for hypoglycemia. So I get to participate in the care of many babies I don't know. However, more meaningful and more important is the small role I played helping my wife raise 3 incredible kids who have all followed us in medical care professions. My wife was a pediatric intensive care unit nurse. My oldest, Stephanie, is a child mental health therapist with special interest in perinatal mood disorders and has 2 young children. My middle one, Michelle, is the only one that went to Ohio State, and she's a graduate level nurse who works at Riverside in the cardiac intensive care nursery. And she has the 2 young Buckeyes that are seated beside me. They're really not this motionless. These are the cutouts that are at the shot for the pandemic, and they get to go to all of the basketball games. We also go to football, basketball, hockey, and baseball games together at Ohio State. Matt is the youngest. He's on the faculty at the University of Louisville. He's a PM&R physician, physical medicine and rehabilitation. He takes care of patients with amputations, brain injuries, and he and his wife, who's an MD, PhD researcher, have dedicated themselves to Special Olympics as well, and they have a young daughter. So being a parent and a grandparent to this group with a wife who did all the heavy lifting, I still take as my greatest achievement. Thank you again for this incredible recognition, and I'm just so pleased that this opportunity came about for me. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, David.
Pets have always been a part of Robert Downey's life and hold a very special place in his heart. During the mid-1980s, dog food was largely carbohydrate and grain-driven. In 1986, to make a change within the industry, Rob began Animaid Pet Foods Incorporated with a mission to develop holistic, natural pet foods that provide optimum nutrition while maintaining a responsibility to the environment. Rob conducted studies involving the endurance of dogs and definitively showed that dogs performed better when provided a high-fat diet. Robert's career far exceeded just canine nutrition. His work led him to live in Alaska for 20 winters racing sled dogs. During his time in Alaska, he saw firsthand the large amount of substance abuse among students in the interior Alaskan villages. The negative environment encouraged a native friend of Robert's to look to sled dogs as a way to rehabilitate the community. Sled dogs are deeply rooted in the culture and community and significantly support, strengthen, and empower youth. With the help of Robert, they established a school-based program that merges Western education with traditional methods taught by local Native elders. Students have excelled in the program, and it has evolved to be part of the curriculum for 16 Alaskan schools. Robert, what inspired your passion for animals?
I grew up with dogs. My dad had a kennel of hunting dogs, so certainly my parents inspired my love of animals. My mom, who showed me the tenderness and love that our pets so deserve. No doubt I got the soft spot in my heart for animals from her. In fact, we named our pet food company after her. Her name was Anna Mae. We added a T to the end to evoke the word animate, which means to give zest or life to.
Robert, congratulations on your Distinguished Alumni Award.
Throughout her 36-year career with DuPont Crop Protection, Marsha Martin has made significant contributions to the agricultural industry and is highly regarded for her expertise and focus on quality in the crop production industry. She has been key in developing new products for disease, pest, and weed control for many crops. In addition, she has built numerous collaboration opportunities between farmers, university researchers, and industry professionals. She is also well respected for her support of university research through grants and agricultural products for research trials and for her support of student professional development. At DuPont, Marsha has served as a Senior Technical Service Consultant, North American Biology Program Leader, Fungicide Special Project, Fungicide Seed Treatment Field Testing, and Fungicide Technical Manager in a Product Development Manager role, in addition to numerous other roles for the company. During her tenure, she also worked with agronomy and weed science teams to evaluate and obtain DuPont EPA approval for local need pesticide labels so that Ohio farmers could use these products in new ways for weed control. Martin was also instrumental in DuPont's efforts to introduce OSU students to industry careers, recruiting many students for DuPont's internship program. She has also helped develop the reduced risk insecticide for two pests that were a problem for Ohio and Michigan apple growers. Marcia, why is it important to mentor young people in the food, agricultural, and environmental industry?
Mentoring young people in the agricultural industry by listening, providing learning opportunities such as internships, support, offering counsel, and connecting young agriculturalists with other beneficial mentors can help produce the confident, assured, and well-spoken leaders agriculture needs. Having such leadership going into the future will be important to best represent our U.S. agriculture food production industry to the rest of the population, since they often don't understand production agriculture very well. Thank you.
Marcia, congratulations.
Few economists have been as involved in analyzing, shaping, and educating about the U.S. Farm Bill as John Newton. During the negotiations of the 2014 Farm Bill and conference hearings, Newton worked for the U.S. Department of Agriculture's chief economist by performing quantitative policy research and providing expert advice to the chief economist, the deputy chief economist, and other top USDA and congressional officials. Newton also served as a research fellow for the Senate Agricultural Committee, where he reviewed Senate and House agricultural and nutritional bills, Agricultural Act of 2014, and analyzed the effects of proposed legislation on farm income, crop returns, the rural economy, and USDA budget expenditures. He worked with the USDA until 2014. He then worked as a clinical assistant professor at the University of Illinois, where he designed and coordinated a multi-university effort on a $1.65 million web-based decision support tool and educational curriculum as part of implementation of the 2014 Farm Bill. John then went on to serve as the chief economist for the National Milk Producers Federation. Now, in his current role as the chief economist for the American Farm Bureau Federation, Newton engages with stakeholders to communicate and implement policy related to the farm economy, trade, renewable energy, farm policy, crop insurance, and conservation programs. John, how are you currently working to ensure the successful future of the agricultural, food, and environmental industries?
Well, I think the thing that I'm working on right now for the agricultural industry is working with the current administration. We have freshmen members of Congress. We've got new chairmen on the House and Senate Ag Committee. So our organization's very engaged with the White House, very engaged with our new members on Capitol Hill to share the priorities of agriculture, the priorities of our rural communities when it comes to making sure we have the right infrastructure investments, making sure that we bridge the digital divide so that farmers and rural Americans across the country have adequate access to broadband, not only for climate smart practices, but for education and for health care. And then we're also working on climate issues, making sure that we can create the right voluntary incentive-based mechanisms to increase the adoption of climate smart practices across the country. Farmers are good stewards of the land, but with more investment, more research, we can do even more to protect the soil, water, and air that we so greatly depend on to feed, clothe, and produce the renewable fuels for this country.
Congratulations, John.
Both as a member of the Ohio legislature and as an eighth-generation farmer, Bob Peterson's contributions to Ohio and to agriculture extend beyond advancing the industry and have yielded a positive impact for Ohioans in ways that make a difference. Some of the legislation that he has helped enact includes Senate Bill 1, which helps to stem the tide of algal blooms by more effectively monitoring and responding to water quality issues, as well as Senate Bill 75, which helps to protect Ohio's farmers from liability concerns in the agritourism industry, and eliminates local zoning restrictions in agritourism. As a state senator since 2012, Peterson has worked tirelessly as a member of the Ohio governing body. His commitment to agriculture has helped move several pieces of critical legislation that make a difference for family farms, the agriculture industry at large, and 4-H and FFA youth. Peterson's commitment to agriculture also extends to his farm and home community. In addition to working on his family farm, he is active with his local FFA alumni, has served as a 4-H advisor, and is, quote, the first person in line when a kid wants to take a ride on a tractor or a combine. Bob, how do you inspire others in agriculture to make a difference on so many levels?
I hope I've inspired others in agriculture to make a positive difference in this world and in their local community. I've had great opportunities. I've been involved in trade trips. I've been to the White House. I've lobbied in Congress as a Farm Bureau leader. I've served in the state legislature. I've served as a county commissioner. Just incredible experience where I had the opportunity to make a difference. And I hope I inspire others to do that also, because that's all of those experiences came about because I was willing to try something, probably something that was out of my comfort zone, and I thought I could make a difference. Because that's one of my core beliefs, is that you're given a time on earth and you need to make a difference, a positive difference in this world when you get opportunity. And I hope others see that if a small farm country boy from Fayette County can do it, anybody can.
Congratulations, Bob, on your Distinguished Alumni Award.
Our final Distinguished Alumni Award honoree is Dr. Sally Rockey. She is internationally known for her work to address global hunger initiatives. She is not only a leader in research administration, but Sally Rockey has raised the visibility of food and agricultural sciences across the nation as a cutting-edge enterprise, according to Mark Keenum, president of Mississippi State University. Rockey served as the executive director for extramural research for the National Institutes of Health in 2005, where she managed one of the largest extramural research programs worldwide, making her an international leader in the field. She has also worked at USDA as a program director and then as the head of the Extramural Competitive Research Program. In 2015, Rockey was named the first executive director for the Foundation for Food and Agricultural Research, FFAR, a new organization created by the U.S. Congress to support innovative agricultural research through public-private partnerships. Her work with FFAR has direct on-farm impact through interactions with commodity and farmer organizations, and she's brought the farming and ranching community as participants in almost every aspect of the organization. Rockey's background in biomedical research supports the vision and capacity of FFAR at the forefront of innovation across food, agriculture, nutrition, and health. Dr. Rockey, what career accomplishment are you most proud of?
The greatest accomplishment of my career, of course, has been to have been selected as the first executive director of the Foundation for Food and Agriculture Research, and to create an audacious organization that has grown to be a real force within agriculture research arena. Seeing it through its humble beginnings to where it is today makes me so proud. And we have just supported incredible innovations through public-private partnerships that are advancing agriculture, not only in this country, but around the world. And it also makes me so happy that the College of Agriculture is here at OSU is one of our strongest partners, and because of the remarkable work that goes on here. So keep it up, Buckeyes.
Congratulations, Dr. Rockey.
The most prestigious award given each year by the CFAES Alumni Society is the Meritorious Service Award. It is awarded to alumni or non-alumni who have been instrumental in the success of the College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences. Recipients must have benefited the university, the college, or a department through financial contribution, considerable personal time and service, or contributed influential assistance by virtue of their position or responsibility. This year, we're pleased to recognize two individuals who have been significant contributors to the continued excellence of our college. It's my honor to introduce our first Meritorious Award recipient, Susan Crowell. During her long career as the editor of the Salem, Ohio-based publication Farm and Dairy, and in multiple volunteer roles with CFAES, Crowell has been one of the college's biggest advocates as well as one of its best informed. A 1984 Kent State University journalism graduate, Crowell's achievements in her field include coordinating a year-long enterprise reporting effort on the opioid crisis in rural Ohio and Pennsylvania, a series that culminated in an award-winning production called Addiction, a Rural Reality. She participated in and reported from agricultural study missions abroad to the former Soviet Union, Chile, Mexico, Israel, and Cuba. She was a proponent of science-based information throughout her career, frequently calling on CFAES sources and encouraging her staff of reporters to do likewise. As a volunteer with CFAES, Crowell was a member and president of the State Extension Advisory Committee, a member of the Vice President's Advisory Council, and from 2011 to 2018 was an advocate at the national level for the Council of Agricultural Research, Extension, and Teaching, part of the Association of Public and Land-Grant Universities. As one nominator wrote, the success of the university is dependent on people who believe in the mission and recognize the positive impact that higher education has on our local communities. Susan Crowell is one of those people. But don't just take our word for it. Here's what Susan's nominator, Gwen Walford, had to say about why Susan is so deserving of this award.
I nominated Susan Crowell for the CFAES Meritorious Service Award because I was privileged to observe a small portion of the time and talent she contributed to advance the mission of the college, and especially its research and extension functions. It never ceased to inspire me, and she had been an active volunteer for CFAES for many years before I was in regular contact with her. Susan is a strong, articulate leader, a passionate advocate, and an out-of-the-box thinker. One of my favorite things about Susan is that she is not a yes person. Although always done constructively and kindly, Susan was able to express views and have them listened to by those working within the college when we needed to be reminded of the varying perspectives of our stakeholders.
Susan, how did CFAES and 4-H specifically set you up for success in your career?
Although I didn't graduate from Ohio State University, the College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences did set me up for success in my career in the intensive 2-year program that I participated in my early 30s, called the Leadership Education and Development, or LEAD program. The program is no longer in existence, but it was this fabulous program supported by ag industry in Ohio and associations, but it was administered through the college. And you had to be selected for the program, and so there were 30 people in my particular class, Class 6, and we truly represented the breadth and the diversity of Ohio agriculture. We had people in floriculture, in forestry, fruits and vegetable production, cash grain operators, government, co-ops, you name it. We had the breadth of Ohio agriculture represented in my classmates. And the goal of the program was to truly develop an understanding of the diversity of people, of issues, of political factors, of geography, not only in Ohio agriculture, but outside of agriculture as well, because we don't exist in a vacuum. We get stuck in our silos sometimes, and we need to keep a broader perspective or to be willing to listen to other perspectives, and that was the goal of the program. And I think it really mirrored and emphasized my own personal career choice in journalism, where I try to do the same thing. And it was a wonderful opportunity to really learn more about the depth not only of Ohio agriculture, but of agriculture nationally and internationally, and how we are so interwoven with other factors that we always need to consider.
Congratulations, Susan.
The success of CFAES today owes much to the leadership of Bobby D. Mosier. As Vice President for Agricultural Administration and Dean of CFAES from 1991 to 2013, and guided by input from faculty, staff, students, and stakeholders. Dr. Mosier led a restructuring of the college and decided to adopt a framework called the ecological paradigm. The premise of the framework was this: that for a food system to be sustainable, it must consider 4 aspects: production efficiency, economic viability, environmental compatibility, and social responsibility, and that colleges that support food systems should do likewise. Dr. Mosier's tenure also saw the renaming of Ohio State's College of Agriculture to its more encompassing name today, the College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences. Those decisions helped CFAES flourish, a narrator wrote, adding that most importantly, the college became significantly more relevant to the people of Ohio. That is because Bobby, through his extension roads, knew how to connect this land-grant institution to the 11.6 million Ohioans. Dr. Mosier had been director of Ohio State University Extension, the outreach arm of CFAES, before becoming the college's dean, and was director of extension at the University of Missouri before coming to Ohio State. Throughout his tenure as dean, Dr. Mosier was the respected voice of CFAES and the agricultural community, another nominator wrote. He was the person in our community living the land-grant mission. Dr. Mosier's nominator, Dr. Jim Kinder, had this to say about why he deserves this award.
Firstly, I nominated Bobby for the CFAES Meritorious Service Award because of his commitment to the land-grant mission, which I observed when he was a graduate student and a young faculty member at the University of Nebraska, Lincoln, and as an administrator in the Department of Animal Science and college level at the University of Missouri, Columbia, and most importantly, as vice president and dean of the College Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences, which has this name because of his leadership in changing the college name. Specifically, I nominated Bobby for this recognition because of accomplishments in advocating for the CFAES students, which I heard him emphasize many times, were the best at the Ohio State University. Furthermore, I nominated Bobby for his meritorious service because of his effectiveness in working with staff members, faculty members, external stakeholders, and most importantly, with his administrative team in a collegial way in making the whole greater than sum of the parts in our college. Secondly, Bobby is deserving of this meritorious service recognition because of his effectiveness in working with many different university leaders during his 20-plus years as CFAES Dean. Furthermore, Bobby is deserving of the recognition for his meritorious service to CFAES because of his capacity to address issues and develop priority college focus, especially the ecological paradigm in addressing the continuing important aspects in agriculture of production efficiency, economic viability, environmental compatibility, and social responsibility. Lastly, and most importantly, it should be recognized that much of Bobby's CFAES meritorious service could not have been accomplished without the support and contributions of his wife, Pat. I've known Pat for a long time. In the early days when she typed my master's thesis, way before the world of word processing ever existed. Her meritorious contributions in this recognition should not go unrecognized, and I know Bobby would wholeheartedly agree. With that, Bobby, it's been a long time since we had Dutch Masters presidents as our cigar preference when we were graduate students at the University of Nebraska. I am pleased that we have made it a priority to travel together to the extent we have in our treks down life's pathway, and to have the opportunity to contribute in the way I have to this recognition of your meritorious service in our college.
Dr. Mosier, what is your biggest piece of advice for growing leaders?
You know, everyone has their own leadership style, and many are successful. But the one that worked for me was realizing that it's the people that make a difference in any organization. So leadership, in my opinion, is not all about you or me as leaders. It's about the people, the organization, or the project that you're leading. It's about creating an environment where all have an opportunity to be successful, where they take on ownership of what you're doing and where you're going. And in the end, they will say, we did it together. We were successful.
Congratulations, Dr. Mosier.
Congratulations to all recipients of the 2021 College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences Alumni Awards. After hearing the stories of their accomplishments, the college can be very proud of how these outstanding individuals have improved the industry and positively contributed to society as a whole. They have truly brought recognition to their college, university, and communities. It looks like our evening is coming to a close, and it has been my pleasure to be with you tonight. At this time, please welcome Amy Jo Bachman, Director of Alumni Engagement and Annual Giving for the College of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Sciences, for some closing remarks.
On behalf of the college and the CFAES Alumni Society, I appreciate each one of you for joining us this evening. A special thanks to those who nominated individuals for the 2021 CFAES Alumni Awards, and to all of our speakers this evening. The CFAES Alumni Society Board worked very hard to make tonight's event possible. They put so much time and energy into leading the CFAES Alumni Society, and their efforts provide many opportunities for the larger alumni community. Thank you all for your hard work. A big thank you to the CFAES Advancement Team for making this virtual event possible, and for their assistance with alumni programming throughout the year. And finally, thanks to all of you for your support of our outstanding 2021 CFAES Alumni Award winners. Nominations are now open for the 2022 CFAES Alumni Awards. Nominations are due June 30th, 2021, and can be found at the link in the chat box and on the CFAES Advancement website. Please take a moment to share your thoughts about tonight's event by filling out the survey in the chat box. If you would like to give to CFAES and support the success of our students, please text the letters OSU to the number 41444. Your gift will help advance the next generation of agricultural, food, and environmental leaders, and the next generation of CFAES alumni. Thank you all for joining the 50th CFAES Alumni Awards celebration, and congratulations to this year's award recipients. As is tradition at the end of all Ohio State events, please join the CFAES Alumni Society Board of Directors and the CFAES Alumni Award honorees in the singing of Carmen, Ohio.
Have you heard?
Have you heard?
Have you heard?
Have you heard?